development, because some of our best brains are going out there on a daily basis in droves, seeking what they call greener pastures.
Yes, Victor, thank you for that question. Before I answer your question, let me just try to explain something that Prof was trying to say. In the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, under the leadership of Honorable Abike W. Arewa, we are advocating managed migration. Managed migration is a system where government export labor, avoiding exploitation. You have a partnership with a country. For instance, the Philippines, they do managed migration perfectly well. Indians, Bangladesh, Israel, they do what is called managed migration. This called irregular migration, where, let's say, technicians and others that don't have professional skills, maybe in education, but they are technicians, they can do chores and all that. They are exported to needy countries, right? And they are paid well. Government is aware, there's an agreement, and that also is useful. Then, back to your question, the consequences are enormous. For instance, it's estimated that there are about 20 million Nigerians in the diaspora, 17 million second, third generation Nigerians, and about 3 million historic African diasporas. So it's a huge population out there. Brain drain. That is exodus of our best brains abroad. But I told you something, that in as much as there's brain drain, there is brain gain. And more recently, brain circulation. In NIDCOM, I can give you examples of benefits of brain gain. In 2020 and 2022, I was in the US. We had a conference by Nigerian Association of Physicians, Nigerian Physicians in the Americas, AMPA. It's an association of Nigerian physicians in the Americas. Inside that conference, we had over 5,000 consultants. 5,000. That is just the attendees. You know, a consultant is just different from just a medical doctor. But this is a consultant. I'm telling you, over 5,000 consultants there.
That are Nigerians.
Nigerians. Who is benefiting? The host country.
Yes.
You get that? So check that. What is the health system back home? You get. So, and let me tell you, President Barack Obama said, if you remove Nigerian physicians in the American health system, the system will collapse. That's a fact. They are the brightest and most intelligent immigrants in the US, Nigerians.
All over the world.
That is just America alone. Get it? So, in as much as we are losing our best brains, we are also getting, that's what NICOM is harvesting. Constructive engagement with our diasporas for overall national development. Within Abuja alone, we have about 12 specialist hospitals, diaspora hospitals in Abuja alone. See, this is a result of our engagement. We have the Breast Cancer Center in Lagos. And most recently, another doctor established a facility where you can, it's called a home hospital. You just go there and stay. The best in West Africa now. In Imo State, we have another world-class hospital. In education, go to Delta State, we have diaspora universities. So there's brain gain. And NITCOM is saying you don't need to come back home to give your best to society, to your homeland. Export it, brain circulation. And I also give you an example of Professor Ibgule, what he's doing. That is from Morgan State University. It's giving back.
It's giving back.
All right. So we will sustain advocacy will help mitigate irregular migration. You see, there's false hope out there, especially with the impact of social media.
They say the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah, dollars are everywhere in Italy, in Germany, and all that. If you just get there, you just pick the dollars or the euros. It's not true. I tell you an experience. I was in Vietnamese airport. The whole of that place where we were waiting, there was no black person. I just saw a lady, pregnant, was a Nigerian. I was curious. So we said in every maybe 10 people, black people,
Yes.
7 might be Nigerians.
Nigerians.
So I approached her. I said, hello. You know, if you want to, if you want to know the person in Nigeria, use pidgin English. I use pidgin. I said, how you day? She responded. We burst out. I was, where are you going? In this whole place, you are here alone, and you're pregnant. Where are you going? She said she's going for business. Wow. You see, so it goes to buttress what Jake Epele said. You see, that lady would not come back.
But Jacob Pele also raised another issue on the issue of visa issuance by embassies. That that is sort of a key concern, because sometimes people are legitimately looking for visa to go are not given the visa. So at the end of the day, they follow the irregular routes.
That is why, yes,
So
it
what
has
is
a point.
NITCOM? Yeah, what's
But
NITCOM?
yes, but that consular matters are very sensitive.
Yes.
An embassy deserves the right to give you a visa. Or
He
not.
said that, yes.
It deserves it. He must have found something there. They must have found something. They do thorough checks, good profiling. They must have seen something that does not warrant giving you a visa. Maybe late application, or in the process, wrong documentation could occur. All right. But not foreclosing that there could be underhand business by some scrupulous elements. We call them visa racketeers. All right. But majorly, an embassy will not deny you a visa if you have genuine motives. If you have a conference to attend, especially in Europe, Schengen visa, it takes at least 3 months for you to access. And given our nature with late starters, we always do
Fire brigade approach, yes.
Fire brigade approach. You will not follow the process and you want it done. It's not done that way. We must follow global best practices.
So what are the collaborative approach with other countries, Nigeria and other countries, when it comes to irregular migration? We know there are policies existing already, on that. So what are the collaboration between NITCOM and other countries when it comes to irregular migration? I see you've gone all the way out to even go to prisons abroad to bring out Nigerians, pay the fine and bring back Nigerians home. You fought for Nigerians abroad. So what is the collaborative efforts like?
We engage missions diasporically. All right. I'll give you an instance. 2 young men, they went, 2 young men, Chinedu and his brother, went to play football. They left, they are university students. They went to play football in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and they deflected. And they were found in Bosnia camp. And you cannot cross the camp to the other country, Herzegovina. So the call was put to us. The chairman, Nigerian Diaspora Commission, being a resilient, reactionary leader, responded. Call our missions, and we have smart missions there. What we are beginning to say, smart missions, they are not full-fledged embassies. All right? for example, if you are in Turkey, we don't have embassy in Cyprus or northern Cyprus. We have a mission in southern Cyprus. So you have an issue there, we refer you to
the Turkish Nigerian embassy in Turkey.
You see the problem. So these guys were brought back with the intervention, NICOM intervention. And they visited our office, we questioned them, and all right. Another case, we have a case of Zainab Aliu, who was
from Kano.
Yeah, who was on death row
Yes.
in Saudi Arabia. We intervened, alleged drug trafficking. He was set free with Ibrahim. Then we have another guy within Africa in Kenya, Adam Smith, was also there. These are.
But these weren't irregular migrants.
Yes. Yeah, yes, and so it's irregular migrants. And also, even if you went there regularly, but what of your documentation?
If it expires.
Expired, and you are not renewed. That is why at that point you are an illegal migrant. At that point, that means you are residing there illegally. All right. So what we do, we engage in regular advocacy. Nigerians, if you must travel legitimately.
All right. Thank you, Gabriel Odo. Let me head back to Lagos, where J.K. Pele is. And I'm trying to find out from you if you think that the government is doing enough to manage the irregular migrants, the conditions that bring about irregular migration, and how this can be better done to ensure that people don't brave all the odds to get out of the country.
I'm going to just weigh in a bit on what Prof said before, and then I'll come back to my brother. But there's something that is really, really burning in me that my brother from the NICOM, please, needs to take into cognizance. It is good to talk about personal stories of individuals, but please sometimes don't mention names so that it doesn't really backfire on those individuals. Thank God for, and I applaud the work that my dear sister in NICOM is doing. We were together in Portugal, but we need to also be very circumspect about the human rights of people, no matter how much we intervene on their behalf. Sometimes mentioning them on a national television can be really negative, and I'm not saying, it's just an advice. I'm not saying that you have committed a crime, but because we learn every day, that is very pertinent. The other thing about Prof, when Prof said we don't need to focus on the cause, look, in sound reasoning, you can't even treat effects if you don't go back to the cause. So there's a need to talk about the cause, go to the effect, and then we talk about solution. I am very solution-minded. In fact, in my office, I tell my colleagues, that, listen, don't come and talk to me about problems that you don't have solutions. So I'm very solution-driven. That said, there is something that Prof mentioned that we need to interrogate, and that is the synergy between the various agencies, NICOM, Migration Commission, and Refugees and IDP, the Ministry of Humanitarian, the Ministry of the Foreign Ministry, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Youth, the Ministry of Education and Health. Every one of these agencies and other agencies that I don't even know exist that intervene for migration, and the civil society, we all need to work together in synergy, not working at cross purposes. not trying to do your own thing to project your agency or your person, you know. But we all need to work together in synergy, because if we don't collaborate, we will not achieve the expected result. So collaboration is number one thing that government needs to take seriously. Take, for instance, we were in Portugal. The minister and I had a discussion, and we both agreed that there's a need for him to go by way of courtesy visit to foreign ministry, engage his counterpart, to Ministry of Youth, engage his counterpart, the Ministry of Finance, NITCOM, migration. There is a need for everybody to come to the table and discuss holistically the solution. NITCOM cannot do his own strategy independent of the other agencies. And I'm not saying that is the case. I'm being proactive here, you know, and not reactive. We don't need to wait until something happens and everybody will start running around from pillar to pole to solve the problem. Let's nip it in the bud and be proactive in our approach and collaborate with open-mindedness. It doesn't matter who takes the glory. Let the work be done. So collaboration, the lack of synergy amongst, and when I mean lack here, I didn't mean that it's totally absent, okay? But there is an ongoing, the gentleman in the studio will not be able to say this. I can say it, you know. There is this ongoing, you know, power play, you know, a little bit of, I want to do my own thing. My own name should be heard and all that. And at the end of the day, it destroys the fabric of the result that we want to get even before we even start, you know. So there is a need for that collaboration. There's a need for total and absolute commitment of those that are going to collaborate, the critical stakeholders. Take, for instance, do you know that nothing was being done on inclusive migration until I raised the flag? That's how we were brought into the current policy on migration. You understand? So, and I thank God for the openness of IOM and the civil society that is run by Dr. Emeka. You know, they were very open, they embraced it, and they made sure that we were part of the both the governance system as it relates to the policy at all zonal levels. You know, that's the way to go. There's a need for everyone to come to the table to articulate the strategy, sharing experiences, being honest with each other so that we can get results. When we get results, there's an acronym team. They say together, everyone achieve more. When we come together, work together, it doesn't matter. I don't care who gets the glory. Let the work be done. You know, so that synergy is a problem. Now, other things like funding. Most of these agencies don't have the funds. They are under-budgeted. And oftentimes, when the budget is even done, they never get the money. So there's a need for that. There is a need for proper integration or reintegration program, so that those who are coming back will know that they are coming back to their country, and their country will accept them, and their country will give them the necessary succor that they need to rebuild their lives. You know, many of them don't do that because they want to do that. Now, let me quickly weigh in on visa restriction. My brother, I totally agree with you. There are people who have genuine reason to travel, you understand? And for some reason, because of fear, because of some of them are not even able to answer questions rightly, they are denied. It's not like those people, including government officials. I mean, there's a case in point.
Creativity is so broad. I would say whatever it is that you're creative about, it takes a lot of practice before you become very good. So if it's something you intend to pursue, it's something you have to keep doing. You have to keep practicing. It's not going to be an overnight success, which a lot of people look for. But if it's something you're determined about, but the drawback rather, is that you need what is called staying power. While you're developing your creativity, you need to earn a living. So I know that's where the conflict usually comes in, especially with the hardship in the country and all that. But I think a lot of encouragement from the private sector to create incubator hubs. We've had some of those in tech. We need those across various sectors as well. Incubator hubs where these ideas can come in, be developed, be encouraged, be funded, and then we can expand it from there.
Content creation, while it may sometimes get a bad rap, I think it's actually very important because we have to see ourselves. We have to see ourselves living our lives. We have to show and share our stories. I think that's very important. Now, the job after that is to be able to digitize those stories into something that can provide data and insights, that can ensure that we can be able to support whole-scale industry in these spaces, to ensure that the amount of money that each content creator is getting exceeds what is currently happening for many content creators. The same content creator who lives in Nigeria will be earning less than a content creator who's living in the US or the UK or Japan. And we've got to also bridge that gap because most of that is being driven by the ability of the consumers to pay for those goods and also the pricing that many of these platforms have. So I think this is not the job for the content creators and the young people. This is a job for people like myself in the ecosystem who can help support the right pricing, to advocate for the right policies, to support economic development for consumers who want to consume that information and that content. And even beyond content creation, we're seeing that many people are stepping in behind the camera. They are producers, editorial, they are graphic designers, they are in technology, but maybe not in front of the camera. And what we want to say is also, we need those people too. We need those stakeholders involved. And the job of many policymakers, DFIs, is to ensure that the strategic investments get there, the collaboration gets there, and we're deliberate in how we're saying we want to support innovation in our continent.
There's an age group where your brain function is at its maximum, and that's the age group we call the youth, isn't it? So we need the youth, the younger generation who have the energy, the imagination to be equipped with the proper education, the proper tools, the proper encouragement, and then take what innovation they bring out and turn it into mainstream developmental ideas. So you find a lot of things that are invented by people in school or straight out of school. We need our patent laws to work so that they can earn a living from their imagination. Once the imagination is just for a one-year festival or an event, then it's not worth it. Somebody creates something, we need to get our patent laws to work, we need to enforce them, and then the private sector can use those patents to develop things and encourage more people to be more creative. Back in the days, yes, you had to be an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor. Today we have programmers, we have AI specialists, we have people that are doing ethics on genetics. Those things didn't exist 50 years ago. So there are new areas that need to be explored. The question really, apart from the parenting, does our educational curriculum cater for what the needs of the world will be in the next generation? Because our curriculum is dealing with the issues of the past. We need the government and the private sector to redo the entire educational curriculum to be forward-focused, not retroactive.
This Sunday, live on Sporty TV. Real Sociedad vs Leganés. Watch live on Sporty TV. Brought to you by SportyBet. Play with champions.
All right, many thanks for staying with us. This is still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA, and we've been discussing irregular migration. Now, let me get back to Professor Tijani. Prof, I hope the connection to you is stable now. I would just like to find out from you. Jake Pele earlier mentioned the need for government and agencies of government, to collaborate a bit more to make the most of migration. But we are still talking irregular. We've talked about why people, go on those journeys. But how do we, reap the benefits of a lot of people being out of the country? Even if they are irregular, how do we get them to regularize and make the most of it?
Thank you very much. Why we will not use this forum to educate those who choose to leave Nigeria for other parts of the world in terms of their regularization in their new-found homeland. I think we should emphasize one thing, and I would like to state this, that the brain loss, that we've talked so much about, is becoming brain gain, and we have not contextualized that. What is the brain gain? It has to do with what I call the Jakpada syndrome, that I'm also an element of that. But Jakpada syndrome has to do with brain gain by Nigeria. And one agency that has really, and continue to work in this, direction is NITCOM. You take, for instance, the annual conference that is often in Abuja, that is beyond coming to various parts of the globe to encourage Nigerians to return and invest. The issue of Jakpada continue to be something that we need to also encourage as a government, as people, and they provide the leverage for those professionals, those skills, those who are, had gained more skills, certification, established businesses beyond the medical field to assist. For instance, in education, I've been in education sector in the last 37 years, and the education mobility, human capacity development has been one of my areas as a senior university administrator, both in Nigeria and in the United States. And one thing I always emphasize is that for you to jakpa, you must jakpa with a sense. For you to jalo, you must jalo with a sense. If you have no sense or no better understanding or utilization of the rules of engagement, then you will become miserable and not useful to self as much as you will be so useless in your new homeland. So you are not adding value. But to add value, you must understand the rules of the game, regularize yourself, and then think about harvesting those agencies, those platforms created by your government. If you look into this current government and then you identify key players, you will notice that most maybe some, not most, Chinese, they Jakwada, and they are contributing. They are adding value. And when you do that, you don't bring that idea or mentality of, oh, being in the US is a better deal, or I'm better than the Nigerian counterpart. Okay? So those are some of the things that we need to take into consideration. We also need to look into the possibility of investment, and I think in this case, beyond the NITCOM, I think agencies such as the Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Authority could come to play more role, in encouraging Nigerians to return and invest, and they're even giving startup. So we have several Nigerians, and I don't want to mention names and what have you, but in that paper that I happen to be the lead plenary paper presenter last week, I kind of itemized some of these people, and I think one of the ways to really make a strong advocacy is to go through what I call biographical pedagogical discourse. We can take one person and tell the story of that person, how he or she jakpada and refused to jalo. So when you jakpada, you've not only regularized yourself, you are able to go in and out, okay, because you have papers legalized in both countries, and then you have value to add. You have contributions to make, and then you are resilient. But above all, it's about what I call the 3 Ps. What are the 3 Ps? For you to even be, to be successful, you need to plan, and you need to plan. And I termed it preparation, preparation, preparation. As an individual, as a group, as a government, as an agency, we must be prepared to confront the unfolding situation of our new world. And for the future, I strongly believe there's nothing wrong with migration. We just have to harvest the benefit therein without laying too much emphasis on the causes that some may not agree with me. But the solution and the prospect therein, in terms of skill development, in terms of synergy between the various agencies, in terms of providing the leverage, the platform to encourage others to jakpada. Thank you very much.
Prof. Sotijani, I like your terminology, japada and jalo. These are new words I'm learning today, jalo. So, we thank you so much there. Let's return to the studio where Gabriel Odu is, seated. Migration from Nigeria is an ongoing thing. It's not going to stop. So, what alternative migration pathways can be created? You talked about exporting skill to other countries. So, to provide the safe and legal options for Nigerians who want to migrate.
Yes. Our colleague in Lagos studio talked about more collaboration.
Yes.
Yes. We in NIDCOM, we have spread our collaborative tentacles. For instance, we have 33 states in Nigeria who have keyed in by appointing state diaspora focal point officers. Right? These are the people right in the grassroots. What they engage in advocacy and sensitization. One, it sensitizes locals, parents, and those that want to send their children abroad, do it regularly. And also they engage diasporans who have jakpadat. That means
they don't want to jalo back.
So they are the first point of contact. Okay. You want to invest back home, this is what you must do. All right? Like Prof said, beyond remittances. Remittances is important. For instance, in 2024 last year, we had over $20 billion as remittances. But remittances is just taking care of needs, medicals, school fees, and all that. But what of investment? That is NIDCOM is what it's doing, Diaspora Investment Fund, where it will be managed by funds will be managed by diasporans, and that helps in shoring up the economy. Right. So we also have collaboration with National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons. This is the focal agency for migration governance structure in Nigeria. that they want mainstreaming national migration policy to see how migration becomes a tool for national development. We also collaborate with IOM. It's our focal partner. We talked about Portugal. The civil societies were there. NICOM was there. Refugees Commission was there. Ministry of Labor was there. Foreign Affairs was there. So these are interagencies collaboration. So what we need to do is to up the game. All right. Then we talked about advocacy. Recently, we went on zonal sensitization. Just last week, we were in Enugu to sensitize the need for state governments to key into investment and curb irregular migration. If you want to, that is the issue here is, if you are an irregular migrant, you are vulnerable.
Yes.
You don't have, you are not covered by state benefit. Maybe yes.
You don't have insurance.
No insurance. Like a US says social security. You will not. At the end of the day, if you overstay as an irregular migrant, you become stateless. You cannot go back to your home country. Then the country, your host country, does not recognize you. You become stateless. So you don't have those benefits. So there are a lot of negatives as far as irregular migration is concerned. So what are we doing? We are advocating, sensitizing for engagement. One of our key mandate is or strategy is the National Diaspora Day. That we have been doing for the past 5 years.
Yes.
It is a platform that engages Nigerians in the diaspora and those at home. We are even gone further to institute National Diaspora Merit Award. Okay. You see, to encourage, you see, this is a strategy. If you have been doing well in the diaspora, what are you doing back home? You must reflect. If you are able to give back to your country consistently for 5 years, maybe medical missions, yes, you are a consultant, what are you doing? Do you have a hospital? Do you do medical visitation? Do you...
All right.
Right. So these are engaged sensitization. NICOM
Based on collaboration with
based on
other.
collaboration.
All right. Thank you very much, Gabriel Odo. Let me quickly get to Jake Epele in Lagos as we gradually wind down this conversation. Jake, what economic development strategies, do you think can be implemented to address issues of irregular migration, of course, and also be able to provide opportunities for Nigerians back here at home?
Very interesting question. I'm going to just make a quick comment, and if I'm not answering this question, because it's very important we answer this, please draw my attention to it. I think we need to be very circumspect and very wise in sometimes postulating. I believe wholeheartedly that there are gains in people leaving their countries to another countries, But let's do a comparative analysis of the gains versus loss, for a group of Nigerians. In fact, I was doing some research last night. There are over 500,000 professionals who are Nigerians in the United States. Over 500,000 core professionals. In fact, there's a study that says that there are more Nigerians who are educated with masters and PhD than even some Americans. And I've not totally verified that, but I'm just giving you an idea. So it's important to underscore the fact that these 500,000 Nigerians that have relocated, which is their right, without missing word. But it is a disservice in terms of nation building and development of our nation. It's a disservice. You know, yes, they have gone there, especially with the new phrase that Prof brought, Jalo. You know, I'm not Yoruba, I don't know what it means. But however...
I'm sorry I had to, I'm having to interject because we just have about a minute or so to go. So I really want you to address the question that I had posed earlier on what development strategies, you know, can be implemented to address issues of irregular migration, you know, while also creating opportunities for Nigerians at home.
In 1 minute, Mr. Ekpele.
We're running out of time. While also creating opportunities for Nigerians at home.
In 1 minute.
A development strategy that cuts across board. 2, very strategic intervention for the most vulnerable. If we have and continue to give impetus to the social investment program of this current administration, if that program is allowed to work, it will demystify this consistent irregular migration. It will. And 3, bring the people that have been left behind for too long, create an enabling environment for them to thrive socially. You know, so when the economy is doing well, the people are not likely to want to go anywhere. So economic development is number 1. Political stability is number 2. Security is number 3. If time will allow me to deal more decisively with some of these points. But these are some of the things that if we pay attention to, you know.
Ekpele, your 1 minute is up. We have to go to our guest who has joined us, Professor Tijani, who has joined us from, you know, from the Zoom. In just 30 seconds, what is your lasting, you know, your advice to Nigerians who are watching this program, listening to this program, who want to japa and not to jalo back?
I think they should japada, and I think we should all take leverage of the 6-point education agenda to harvest the benefits therein. There are platforms, and I'm just mentioning that 6-point education agenda in the Ministry of Education, which also is not limited to education, but also to all sectors of the Nigerian economy. And I thank you so profusely for having me. It is almost 3 a.m., and I think I'll be able to take a nap before I teach my introduction to African diaspora class in another 3 hours. Thank you very much.
Okay, Professor Hakeem Ibukule Tijani, he's the Pioneer Director, Center for Excellence in Migration and Global Studies, National Open University here in Nigeria, and former Deputy DVC and Dean of Arts and Education, and currently the Executive Director, Office of Global Partnership Africa, and visiting professor at the National Open University of Nigeria. Thank you so much for your contribution to the conversation. We really appreciate you and your time that you've given us. 3 a.m., please go get a nap now. And Mr. Jake Ekpele, founder and CEO, TAF Africa, as always, we appreciate you for your insights into the topic. I'm Mr. Gabriel Odu, Deputy Head of Media, Public Relations and Protocols Unit, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NITCOM. Thank you so much. And with special interest in migration studies. We thank you so much for coming.
Thanks much for the opportunity.
It's part of the family.